You're now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips@caymanmarlroad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Strange. Blake said the link isn't working. Hold on one second. Let me just refresh everything. All right. Give me one quick second here, folks. Good morning. Little tech situation. I'm pretty sure it should be, because I know for sure I did it last night before bedtime. Yes, honey chill. A little bit of prep work that goes into what we do around here, you know. Yep, let me get it. Yeah, it's the same link. Strange. Try refreshing. That fixes everything. Hey, Blake. Uh-oh, where did he go? Oh, strange. I saw you for a quick second. Hello, Blake and
I'm available now. That's broadcasting, and they've got cookbooks and ideas for the lemonade stand and all this really cool stuff. It's absolutely free.
Perfect.
And we got them all here at broadcasting. Just come during regular business hours, pick it up. Again, Lemonade Day is coming up on Saturday, August 21st. And we are hoping to go around all the personalities and drop by the lemonade stands and interview the kids on the air and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So
I might get a couple of the neighborhood gang, the kids together, and then we could do it all together at a place around our area.
Sounds good.
I think that's better. More hands,
More hands, yes.
More hands on deck.
More details, too, at our website, dmsbroadcasting.ky.
Big news. I have some important news for you. Interesting news.
It's Blake and Darren's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Morning, Sandy.
Morning. Where are you at?
Oh, you sound so far away this morning.
Right here.
Still getting dressed.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. What's going on, good folks?
I stayed up too late last night and watching the Olympics.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what was on though?
There was swimming on last night.
See, did they do the high dive thing yet? I'm going to have to go back. Okay, so I can watch that now. I can watch replays of that today.
The high diving was crazy.
I love that.
It was crazy good. Like just how
tiny little splash.
How in sync those people are. And what it takes to get to that point of being so in sync from, I don't know, how high is that anyway?
Depends.
100 feet?
I don't probably not. Is it 100 feet?
I don't know. I'm going to look that up.
I used to be terrified of it. There's where I grew up, there is an Olympic-sized pool where people would train for the Olympics and do this.
Yeah.
And I just remember being a little kid and looking, because there were different levels, platforms, and I just looked at the top one. I'm like, there is no way. I couldn't even get on the lowest platform. It was way too high for me. I don't like heights, but yeah, it's up there. I think 100 feet might be too high. No.
Do you know meters? I don't know my meters. It's 10 meters above the water.
I'm bad with that too. I either know how to do it in meters or
yeah. What is 10 meters? Look that up. Do you know, Sandy? Are you?
No.
32 feet.
32.
No, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. 32 feet. Yeah. There you go. 32 feet.
That's 3 stories high. That's taller than this building.
Wow.
That's a 3-story building. That is really high.
I mean, okay. Because at some point you're too high to jump into water and it won't break. Or don't you have to throw down a penny or something, or throw a cucumber in the water and it will break the water before? Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even jumping though from 3 stories, if you don't hit the water right, man, that's.
Was that in an action film where they threw something in the water before they fell into it and then they didn't break their neck? I don't know.
MacGyver.
It should have been. Probably. I watched a lot of MacGyver.
Yeah.
So it could have been.
I messaged Reagan Ruddy yesterday. She's actually leaving today from Japan, from Tokyo. So I don't think we're going to get a chance to talk to her. Because right now in Tokyo, it's 9:29 p.m. And I think she was leaving at 4 p.m. her time today. So she's on a plane. What do you got for us this morning?
Well, we spoke to her on Sunday. Did you miss it?
I watched some of it. Yeah, it was great.
All right, good.
Yes. On this show, though.
Sorry?
It wasn't on this show, though.
No, we did it in the evening because of the time difference. Yeah.
Anyway.
So, right. So we're going to be hot news today. Privy Council shared a decision that has come down. So that's super, super interesting.
On what decision? On what?
Police officers, the RCIPS Association sued the RCIPS, the police commissioner, basically, over some dispute about mandatory retirement age and re-engagement contracts. Apparently what the police do, and I know they've done it, I think probably forever, but they will force you to retire at whatever the mandatory age is. And then I guess discretionary, they can offer you a contract that they renew, I suppose, every single year. So they bring you back for that. So they re-engage officers, and there was some big lawsuit. So it went all the way to the Privy Council, which is actually a really big deal because not a whole lot of cases actually make it to the Privy Council. That's like the highest court of the land, so to speak. So so it's pretty interesting. And basically,
it's weird because I get it's a little bit about ageism and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So forced
complex arguments, to be honest. It made me feel like I was in law school all again reading that decision. I was like, oh my God.
I think I get through the first paragraph and get bored. It's not my thing, so we'll leave that up to you.
I was
Yeah, so I had to dissect it and then write it in a way that the common person could kind of understand what was going on.
Yeah.
Mm.
I was just noticing while you were telling that story that my CMR mug is vanished from where I keep it.
I had no idea what you were pointing at. It was gone while I was gone.
It was?
Because I noticed, because I was
Somebody
like,
stole
well,
it?
maybe, like I said, maybe Blake took it home.
No.
I don't know.
Somebody stole my mug.
Have you checked the kitchen?
Well, it shouldn't leave the studio.
Well, then put
I'm
a
gonna-
note on it.
I'm going to be breaking some fingers later. Somebody has
And he's
sticky
going to end up
fingers.
in the Privy Council after that.
What do you think about the news from the government yesterday and expanding the QR code vaccination cards?
I guess it was only a matter of time, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think
so
it's good, right? It's a move in the right direction.
yeah. I mean, the one thing that kind of concerned me, which I thought was interesting, is apparently the UK, you know, when they did their Pfizer and Moderna trials, right? They obviously have people in there who are getting a placebo.
Mhm.
So the UK has made a decision to include as vaccinated the people who would have received the placebo, but they're actually not vaccinated. So I'm like, wait, what?
Well, did they give them a placebo and then maybe said, hey, come back. You had the placebo.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, you're either vaccinated or you're not.
They've just like included them in the vaccinated group. So imagine we're allowing those people to come in with a 5-day quarantine, and technically there's a possibility. I mean, I don't know how many people are in there.
Yeah, I was just
Trials,
saying, how
but-
many people got the placebo? Yeah, I mean,
It's
I wonder
crazy
if-
that you would even do that. Like, it's
I
crazy
think
that you would
they would
include-
go back to them and tell them, though, you were the placebo one. You might want to, because I don't think they're just going to leave people hanging to possibly get COVID and die. I mean, I think that would be quite morbid. No.
Well, you gotta have a vaccine to come here. So you.
Well, no, but what she's saying is the placebo people have been added. So maybe they haven't been told they were the placebo trial part. And so they don't actually have the vaccine.
Well, so they were given a card
Yes.
that says you've been given a vaccine.
Yes, because they have to keep it secret so that everyone can report,
Exactly.
report
That
their.
doesn't sound right.
Well, I bet
I'm
that
telling you,
they
it doesn't make a
probably
whole
knew
lot
who
of
they
sense,
were
but-
and are going to go back to it.
At
Mm.
first, they thought that the health guy in the UK was making a mistake the first time he said it, but then he repeated it like 3-4 times. So then they were kind of like, "Oh,
We're going to need further clarification on that.
Dr. Lee ain't going to be down with that.
Yes.
No, he's not going to be down with that.
No." So that's you know, but it just speaks to the risk, because you know we live in a world where we're not in this by ourselves, and this is kind of, you know, we've been talking a lot about mandatory vaccination. Everybody's like, oh, they're against that, and it's kind of interesting how people think about it. But when it's a public health crisis, you don't have as many choices as you think, and that's always been the case, whether it's been smallpox, polio, or whatever. And people forget, this is kind of interesting, but people forget that other vaccines are mandated. You know,
Yeah.
you can't go into school without
polio.
having.
Polio
Yeah,
was mandated.
Well, if you want to go to like maybe parts of
Exactly.
like Africa, you have to get yellow fever.
But in the U.S., they literally came to your house, knocked on your door, and gave
Yeah.
you the polio vaccine, whether you
Yeah.
wanted it or not.
Exactly.
Oh, really?
That's how they got rid of polio.
Well, I mean, I know that's how they've done it around the world too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, my mom took me to a clinic. So
I like this headline that I'd read last night. Hundreds of San Francisco bars are requiring vaccinations in order to drink indoors. So all these bars have gotten together, hundreds in San Francisco, requiring proof of vaccination in order to come in. I think that's great. They all band together.
isn't that like what France did? Basically, they said you have to have to be inside or to go to certain places. You have to have.
Yeah, I like it. But that's what I'm talking about. This is in the U.S. where nobody wants to do anything.
But it's California, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is California.
Better
right?
ran.
Well, actually, interestingly enough, San Francisco
San
Try that
Fran
Francisco
San
what
Francisco.
on earth,
too early.
has mandated it for all of the equivalent of their civil service, which is like 35,000 people. So
Yeah, you
yeah,
see.
there's a lot of people who
Yeah.
are like, come on, you know, you just got to do this.
Where did I mean, I read a lot of health officials actually aren't vaccinated or are part of the I don't know if they were if it was a vague article not relating to just I can't remember if it was in the US where I was reading it or if it was for here, but a lot of the health officials, the frontline workers aren't vaccinated. And maybe that's where I was reading the story and they were kind of saying, well, now you're going to have to be.
I heard a person.
Well, it's going to be mandated here.
I heard a traveler here is also in the hospital.
I heard that.
Read that last night. They released personally. A traveler has been admitted to hospital from quarantine, suffering symptoms of COVID-19. Person is stable, not requiring a ventilator at this time.
No word on if they're vaccinated or not.
No. So yeah, there have been 96,993 COVID-19 vaccinations given out on this island so far, and 47,321 have completed the 2-dose course, which puts us at 67% vaccinated. That's a lot of vaccines, 96,000.
Yeah.
Why are there 49,000 still waiting for dose number 2? Are there people that have gotten one and haven't gone back?
Yeah, I think that's happening a lot, and people don't understand the importance of getting both. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, why would you get? I don't get why you would get just one. I know that there are other maybe circumstances you had. Actually, I do know some people had such an adverse effect to the first one that they're like, I can't go through that again. Luckily, I was fine the first one. The second one, I was definitely a lot more tired, did not feel as well.
I know
if I feel like coronavirus would probably be a lot worse.
Yeah.
So
I know there are some people that came to the island for a visit, got a dose, and have left. So they're not even here to get dose number 2.
So they'll get that back in wherever
Could be, yeah.
back where they came from.
Yes, but it's still on the tally here of not getting dose number 2. But
oh, really? I mean, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know someone who came here only had 1 dose before they got here and then got the second one here.
so that would count as 1.
Well, what if they showed their vaccination card? And
Well, it'd still be
just
one
dose from one dose.
one
from
dose,
here.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well.
All right, Sandy. Thanks for the news stories. Catch Sandy
right.
right now on CMR kicking off her show, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, guys, have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right, good stuff. So yes, lots of vaccine discussions continuing. Let's watch a quick little video here. I'm just trying to look at which one we're going to pull up. And this one, did you guys miss the one we did last night about the lady who died 4 years after the COVID vaccine? Should we replay that one? Let me see what your comments are. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Maybe I will replay that one. Hold on one second. Let me see. There's so many. There's a good one here about mandatory. You know what? Let's talk about COVID and the surge in Delta variant. So we're gonna just do a quick little video on this one. I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time because we got to talk about school supplies. Y'all up in arms about your children and school supplies. So we're going to speak about that for a minute. But let's watch a little snippet here of what's happening elsewhere in the world. Because remember, Cayman Islands is not the only country in the world. We do not exist in a vacuum. So let us see what else is happening. What else is going on? Let's get it.
France and Greece are introducing mandatory vaccinations for healthcare workers in a bid to tackle increasing coronavirus infection rates. On Monday, Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis ordered all staff in hospitals and retirement homes to book an appointment before mid-August, saying the country is not going to close down because of the attitude of some people. And in France, President Emmanuel Macron has announced a September deadline for medical workers to be inoculated. He says the option of a compulsory vaccination for every citizen is also on the table.
We must move towards the vaccination of everyone in France because it's the only way to return to normal life. Initially, for nursing and non-nursing staff in retirement homes, clinics, hospitals, establishments for people with disabilities, for volunteers who work in contact with elderly or fragile people, including at home, vaccination will be made compulsory without delay.
Obligatoire, sans attendre.
And for more now, I am joined by DW correspondent Lisa Lewis. Let's bring her in now from Paris. Lisa, tell us, what's the reaction among citizens?
Well, people were largely in favor of such a compulsory vaccination for health workers. As you said, that concerns doctors, nurses, and also non-nursing staff at, at hospitals, at retirement homes. And I have talked to some of those working there who told me, I'm hesitating to get vaccinated. I'm not outright against it, but I want to see the possible side effects on other people first. Now these people will have to get vaccinated until mid-September. If they don't, they will lose their jobs and also won't receive any money anymore. So the effect of that will be that, many people will probably get vaccinated, but some also will leave their jobs and, go and work in another sector, as that they've told me.
Quite dramatic. Tell us, the compulsory jab for healthcare workers, it's not the only measure that Macron announced.
Absolutely. He also announced that all of us would need the so-called pass sanitaire. That is a certificate that shows that either you received the 2 jabs, at least 2 weeks ago, or you recently recovered from COVID, or you have a negative PCR test. And you will need that pass from next week on to get access to all cultural venues where there are at least 50 people, and from early August on to get access to cafes, restaurants, including their terraces, to shopping centers, to trains, to planes, to long-distance buses. Basically, all those that are not vaccinated will basically be excluded from social life. It really will be a personal lockdown for non-vaccinated people, especially as the PCR tests that are at the moment for free here in France will then, you will have to pay for them from October on. The government is really cracking down on those that are refusing to get the jab, because the government says, this is not the choice between, vaccination and normal life. It's the choice between vaccination and normal life and another lockdown, especially as the very contagious, Delta variant here of COVID-19 is on the rise in France.
Lisa Lewis with The View from France. Thank you so much, Lisa. And France has labeled neighboring Spain as a coronavirus red zone, as 2 regions there reintroduce measures to halt rising infection numbers. Residents in Catalonia will be limited to gatherings of no more than 10 people, and public activities must end at midnight. In Valencia, a nighttime curfew is being implemented between the hours of 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. Infections among unvaccinated young people are contributing to the surge. Let's bring in DW correspondent Jan-Philipp Schultz, who is standing by with The View from Seville in Spain. So tell us a little bit more about the skyrocketing infection rates there.
Well, it's complicated, as always with the pandemic, but experts point out 2 main factors. First of all, Delta, of course. Contrary to many European countries, Spain decided to lift all restrictions on travelers from the UK in May, and experts agree this contributed to the rapid spread of the Delta variant here. The second reason is big parties. Some weeks ago, the feeling was in Spain that the pandemic is basically over, and this went hand in hand with the spirit of the upcoming summer season. So a lot of young people went on with their traditional huge end of the school year parties, and they turned out into huge super spreading events. In one case on the island of Mallorca, 600 students got infected in one evening.
We just heard, Jan-Philipp, that France and Greece, in response to rising case numbers there, that they are now making the jab mandatory for some groups. How about in Spain? Is something similar being considered?
Well, some Spanish regions that have a lot of political autonomy talked about such ideas in the past, but there hasn't been a big discussion on the national political level yet. I think this has to do a lot with the fact that the general willingness to get vaccinated is very high here in Spain. Surveys show that it's among the highest in all of Europe. Almost half of the entire Spanish population is already fully vaccinated. And among the most vulnerable groups, including doctors and nurses, the rate is above 90%. in many cases. I think this has a lot to do with the fact that, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, Spain was extremely affected by the virus. We saw pictures of overwhelmed hospitals, and this has had a long-lasting psychological effect on the Spaniards.
Jan Philip Schultz bringing us up to date with The View from Seville. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, the horrors witnessed by health workers during the peak of Spain's coronavirus crisis have left deep mental scars. Many are now in therapy, while others have left their jobs completely. We spoke with some of those living with the traumatic aftermath.
The atmosphere at the corona ward of Zendal Hospital in Madrid seems almost relaxed right now. Many beds are empty at the moment. For internist Clara Hernández Blanco, the days have again become a bit more bearable. She and her colleagues lived through the worst of the pandemic. It has left them deeply traumatized. I fell into a big hole. I cried in the corner. I couldn't take hearing anything more about COVID victims because in the end they were also my victims in a way. Then last February and March, 400 people would die every day. That was devastating. Many were already desensitized at that point. But of each of these 400, I can give you at least 2 or 3 names and the names of the children. For me, these are not numbers. It also weighed on her that for months she could not see her daughters to avoid possible infections. Hernández Blanco is now in therapy. It helped me to understand that no one outside our field can really understand what we have lived through in here. It wasn't told, and we also don't want to talk about it. Many colleagues in the hospitals in Madrid share that opinion. The experience was too traumatic. First studies show that at least 40% of medical professionals need a psychological assessment. And some experts even think that there's already another pandemic that will soon spread worldwide, the one that affects mental health. In Sergio Arango's hospital, 500 out of 8,500 professionals require extra help. For instance, in the psychiatric ward, which has set up special support groups. We already put preventive groups in motion before it all escalated. These are groups where people can talk about their experience. So you have doctors, nurses, helpers, and one of our psychologists who share what they're worried about. Between the frustration of not knowing how to use their expertise like under normal conditions and not knowing what you deal with, a huge scar has developed, and it's putting a strain on medics. For Laura Sanz, this strain forced her to leave her job. The intensive care medic contracted COVID-19 and then went back to work in the ICU despite suffering from long COVID. We're not superheroes. When you work in the intensive care unit, you're used to 24, 48 or 72-hour shifts almost without a break. Without help, you're strong, you can do that. And all of a sudden, you can't anymore. Then it's time to look for help. I went to work crying. Then, at work, I saw how the nurses would cry in the kitchen or where the patients were. The situation was desperate. I found them like this, I cried with them, and then I cried on my way back home in the car. At some point, I said to myself, it cannot go on like this. It's a decision she doesn't regret. Many of the affected medics are now processing what they have witnessed. They hope the long queues at Spain's vaccination centers will keep the beds at the ICU free, so they will really have time to heal.
Wow. That's pretty heavy when you think about the mental health component of people having to deal with this on the front line. Jesus, I was just thinking about that and how that's probably, oh my gosh. You know, they said the next pandemic is going to be the mental health element. I wouldn't be surprised. That's crazy. A lot of people are stressed out. It's not just I'm going to get the Instagram feed going here in a second. It's not just, people who have had COVID, but it's people who are having to deal with people who've had it. So whether it's healthcare professionals, that's nurses, frontline nurses, doctors, ER personnel, and even family members. Because let's be honest, if you have a family member who has had COVID, then you certainly understand the trials and tribulations that come with that, and it's hard to explain that to people. I mean, thankfully, we have not experienced it here, and I keep saying to people, we have created such a bubble of our own making. That a lot of us are just delusional about what else is going on in the world, and that's why I find it necessary to share some of these videos. And I was thinking about it yesterday, and I think, every morning, if I could share one or two of those videos, it will help us to understand what's happening elsewhere in the world, because I do know and I do feel that a lot of Caymanians are not always tuned in to what's happening. So a lot of us don't even watch news. Let's be honest. We're not watching international news. We're not reading it. We live in a bubble of our own making in our mind as well. And I think that's why oftentimes it's so easy for us to draw certain conclusions and to have certain opinions that are not necessarily all of that realistic, So, I mean, I watch this stuff, and for me, it gives me just a reality check on where we are. And, it just reminds me also to be so incredibly thankful. Like, I really feel like we have oftentimes this attitude of ungratefulness because we don't appreciate how fortunate we've been. We're complaining, oh, well, we're not, we can only get $2,000 a month. And not, I mean, you can only get $1,500 a month and not $2,000 a month. I mean, there are places in the world where people get not one dime from their governments. And so the fact that, people who are on that list can also sit back and say, they're not going to get vaccinated, or they're not going to do any of the things that are required to try to reopen this country, I think demonstrates how not only fortunate we are, but how we actually are very ungrateful, and we take certain things for granted that other places in the world, they simply wouldn't be in a position to do so. So it's a little bit sad when I watch videos like that and I think about what the frontline employees are going through. I mean, how many people did they say were dying a day? To see hundreds of people die as a nurse. Like, think about this for a second. You might have been a nurse for 10, 15, 20 years, even 5 years. You've never experienced anything like this. You don't even probably know how to handle this sort of a situation, right? And now you're hit with this pandemic. And all of a sudden you've got, depending on where you are in the world, hundreds of people literally dying like you would leave work, probably before you even left work, you would have patients who were expiring, and you'd come back on a shift. Because, nurses get attached to their patients. I don't know if you guys have ever been a patient in a hospital, even maternity patients, like you get so attached. Like, I'll never forget my midwife who was there. Like, every time I see her, I want to hug her, because I feel like at a time when you are so vulnerable, you have someone who is there to assist you. One of the worst things for me, the first time I ever had surgery, I'll never forget this. The first time I had surgery and I was in the hospital, this would have been like, I don't know, maybe 96, 97, whatever. But no, it wasn't then. This was 2009, 2010. I had surgery here. Anyway, I was in the hospital, and, you wake up out of surgery. First of all, you're just thankful to wake up, because you're like, whew, who knows? Because, surgeries, all kind of stuff can go wrong. So you wake up, and you're grateful for that. And then I realized that, oh, I can't do very much on my own. I need the help of other people. So when I want to go to the bathroom, I have to tell somebody else. And when you're a very independent person, like you just get up and do what you want to do when you want to do it, It's just a real eye opener. What nurses do, what doctors do. I think nurses more so than doctors, because yes, doctors obviously perform the surgery and they do kind of the high level stuff, but the day-to-day care of individuals is left up to the nurses, you know, and they can make or break, I think, a hospital experience for you. So it was very humbling for me to have to ask someone that I need to go to the bathroom now. Can I get your help? And here they'd come with the bedpan. And it was just like, I remember thinking to myself, I hope that, you know, we're all hopefully going to get old, but I'm kind of like, I hope that I'm never at that point where my mind is still very much lucid, but my body isn't. Because that's hard to have to rely on other people. Oh, can you bring me my bedpan? It takes a toll on you psychologically. But then I was thinking, you develop this relationship with those individuals, with the nursing staff. And, you know, if something happens to you, they celebrate with you if it's something good, as well as, you know, heaven forbid you die, it takes a toll on them. And so I can't imagine having all of that, basically the equivalent of what they would have lost an entire professional career, condensed into like months because of the COVID pandemic. So folks are waking up to more news around the world. Obviously, we now have another person in the Cayman Islands who is hospitalized. They said that they are breathing on their own. They don't require a ventilation at this point, but another traveler has been placed in the hospital. And, you know, as we've shortened their quarantine period, we're going to unfortunately now see an uptick in infections, as well as, you know, people who are having to be hospitalized. I don't know yet. I've asked the question if this person was actually vaccinated. We don't have an answer to that as yet. But as we know, the chances of you being hospitalized are not impossible if you've been vaccinated, but they are certainly reduced significantly to less than 1% of those people dying. So, what? Oh, we had some breaking Olympic news to give you here in a second. Whoa, 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 whoa. We'll get to that here in a minute. But yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. So, you know, a lot of countries are just saying, listen, we're going to mandate this. We heard that Spain actually has, because they were the epicenter of it, I think, for a minute in Europe, that they actually have quite a good number of people who are realizing the importance of getting vaccinated. So they may not have to mandate it. But there are other places in Europe and around the world who are now saying, no, we're going to mandate this. And I like how everybody's like, oh, this is a personal choice. You can't do this. And I'm looking at them, but going, aren't you vaccinated? You've had mandated vaccinations your entire life, and you never questioned it before. When you have your children, you go and you take them and you get them vaccinated. And it's the same thing when polio was outbreak, like Blake said, in America, they used to go door to door and force you to get it. Smallpox, there's been more than one instance of mandatory vaccination historically. So this isn't a first, because it's obviously not the first pandemic outbreak that we've had. It might be the first in our lifetime that we can remember in more recent times, but yeah, it's certainly not the first. So Cayman expands a list of securely verifiable vaccination records, and that includes oh, sorry. Right. So they've expanded the list. So basically how this is going to work now is the verification solution approved by the chief medical officer to ensure that all records can achieve what they call secure verification standard, which will allow you to then quarantine for the 5 days when entering the Cayman Islands, and also ensures the security of personal information confirms a secure digital signature from a trusted authority, and minimizes the risk of fraud. Because, people always find a way to be fraudulent. So the expanded list of systems and countries in which vaccination records can securely be verified now include anyone who uses a smart health cards and are part of the Common Trust Network. So in North America, that includes Walmart. So that should be 99.9% of Americans right there. We don't even need to go any further down the list. Can I tell you, every American loves a Walmart, even if they're cursing it. So yes, Walmart, pharmacy, Sam's Club, which is owned by the same parent company as Walmart, the state of California, the state of Louisiana, UC San Diego Health, CVS Health, and UC Health. So vaccination records from the European Union member states and other countries that meet the EU digital COVID certificate standard are also included. So this approved list will obviously continue to grow as other vaccination issuers develop a way to actually securely verify their vaccination records. And again, of course, the most important thing that we are concerned about is the potential fraud that might occur. And if you think people won't commit fraud to come on vacation, trust me, they will, and they have even during the COVID pandemic. So this is good. These are some solutions moving in the right direction, as that list has now been significantly expanded. So now we don't have to hear American friends crying anymore about how they have to come in quarantine for 2 weeks, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of options there that hopefully they can take advantage of. So again, folks, Walmart, Sam's Club, state of California, state of Louisiana, UC San Diego Health, which is obviously in California, CVS Health, and UC Health. So spread the word to your friends and family. Not to worry, someone just said that we want it. It's coming for us because that little card that they've given us is not going to be probably acceptable anywhere. So when Dr. Lee was on the show, I think it was last week, Tuesday, actually a week ago, he made mention of the fact that we are working on a solution. They're testing out some barcoding system and stuff for us as well. So Jamaica, just a quick little regional update as of today. It starts today. They have a new curfew measure in place. So those of you who are on YouTube and Instagram can see the screen. Big shout out to our IG people. Raymond, sorry you guys can't see the screen, but Amanda, Christy is watching us. James from Canada, are you watching on Instagram? Get back over on Facebook. O'Neill, Eric, Sean, GC, Ali, who else we got here? Randy, Emma, Vision Media. Hey, Vision Media, what's going on? Orlando, Wes, Latoya, Richard, Keisha, a bunch of people here over on Instagram having a perusal. Daniel, I see you. DJ Renato, big up yourself. What's going on? So yes, Jamaica has implemented some new curfew measures. We knew this was coming down the pipeline because a couple days ago, the Prime Minister of Jamaica indicated that their numbers were increasing again. And so they were concerned about that. They've had so many curfew measures, but unfortunately, the people are not entirely compliant in Jamaica, and that's one of the biggest problems, really. But anyway, here you go. July 27th to August 10th, an initial period of a couple weeks. Monday to Saturday, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. You're supposed to be off the streets. And Sunday and public holidays from 3 p.m. until 5 a.m. Ooh, honey child. We know Jamaicans not gonna like that. No, sir. What a mess. Oy, oy, oy. Caramba. Oh, somebody just reminded me that I've not sent out the the link on WhatsApp, reminding my WhatsApp group that I'm live. My apologies, because I do tend to send that every morning, but sometimes when I'm running late, I totally forget to do it. So let me just do it real quick, y'all, because they're gonna get upset with me. They're gonna be like, Miss Sandra, you forgot about us. All right. So that's what's happening in Jam. The new curfew, kind of crazy. Hold on one second. That's what's happening in Jam. I always have to pull up the YouTube feed, and then it gives me that feedback. Yes, so there you go, good folks. I sometimes assume that, well, they know that I'm live, but I know they still like to get the actual reminder notification, because sometimes you get busy in the morning and you forget. All right, so good luck. Jamaica also has a containment measure. So all beaches and rivers have opening hours now, Monday through Saturday from 6 a.m. until 4 p.m. and Sundays from 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. And they're doing a capacity limit. Places of worship, gyms, dining establishments have to reduce from 70% now to 50%. I don't know how they're going to measure all that, Joe. And limit for small events is reduced from 60% to 50%. So the bottom line is they're trying to encourage people to not gather in crowded areas, whatever. I guess if you're a restaurant, you now have the responsibility to try to reduce your seating capacity, go back to the 6-foot distancing thing that was in place. And then they have different curfew measures in place as well. Good luck. It's a mess all over the world. So good morning to everyone who's watching. Buenos dias, Alba. Catherine says, my dad, 17 years worked at Northwood Prison and does not receive medical pension or any form of grants. When was the 17 years? I'm just curious of when that was. So big news in the legal fraternity this morning is that the Privy Council has rendered a decision, which is now public. Which essentially is somewhat favorable to the Cayman Islands, the RCIPS's Police Association. Somewhat favorable, I say, because they didn't find on every point. But here's the interesting thing. With cases like this, they don't have to find on every point for it to go back to the sort of, original court, if you will. And I'm going to make some amendments to the article that's up right now, but I tried my best. Let me tell you something. Having survived law school and read my fair share of cases, you have to be in a certain frame of mind to wrap your brain around a case as complex as this. I mean, it's not the most complex case in the world, I'll be honest. It was only 33 pages. Like, literally, I've seen cases that are like hundreds of pages, 300, 400, 500 pages decisions. It wasn't that complex of a decision, but you still have to, there's a lot of convoluted arguments all over the place. Basically, I think there were about 4 grounds that the court had to consider. And the important thing about this is that you do have rights with a lot of different things, folks. And sometimes you have to exercise that right by simply suing government. That's just how it works. So, for example, I am contemplating suing the government over something. And, we'll see. I'm still, it takes a lot of resources, and psychologically there is a toll when you decide to take government on, because they have a limitless amount of QCs and attorneys and budgets, and so you can't do it if you're faint of heart. Thank you, Maria, she says she loves the nail color. It's almost time to get them redone. They're like growing out already. But yeah, so I'm contemplating it, but I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm gonna preface this with a little bit of information. You guys know, unfortunately, what happened to my dog, Coco, at the end of November of last year. She lost her life after being attacked by the dogs next door. Well, the Department of Agriculture has decided to return the dogs next door. When I called and asked how did they come about this decision, they couldn't even tell me how they came about this decision. There's like no criteria obviously in place. They're like, oh, well, we just looked at it and decided, that she could just put some measures in place. And I'm just like, let me try to understand this. The dogs attacked another neighbor's dog. They attacked a person who then had to go to the emergency room, get stitches, get a tetanus shot. They were still on a rampage. They made it down to, my neck of the woods later in the night, attacked and killed my dog, dragged her body out of my friggin' yard. And then you're going to allow these dogs to come back in the neighborhood where we have small children and we have other dogs still in the neighborhood. And this decision is somehow logical to you. I have seen dogs get put down for far less than that. Believe me, you. So on the one hand, as you guys know, I'm obviously very emotional about the loss of my dog, who I had for 10 years. And she was a member of her family. And I think to myself, if somebody in my family was wrongly killed or hurt, I would go to the ends of the earth to see that justice was done. And to me, Coco is no different. And if I don't challenge the government on this, because I feel like fundamentally they are wrong, but if I don't challenge the government on this, it just continues. They get to make another arbitrary decision where they return a dangerous dog to the neighborhood. And so to me, there has to be a policy. And I've looked at the animal law, and I think that they really are going against the grain of the animal law, that there has to be a policy where anytime a dog hurts a person or kills another animal, especially another dog, they should be subject to being destroyed. Thank you, Carol. She says, disgusting. In the UK, those dogs would have been destroyed and the owners prosecuted. Imagine if they'd gotten hold of your daughter. The owner isn't going to be prosecuted. This is the bullshit that goes on in this country. The owner will not be prosecuted, and they haven't put the dogs down. So I feel like my dog has literally died in vain for nothing, for naught. And if I don't do something about this, who will? You know what I'm saying? At some point, I think we all have to recognize in this country that there are very few people who are willing to put their neck on the line and fight for what they believe is the correct position. So on the one hand, these officers are fighting over retirement age and re-engagement contracts and all this sort of thing. You think, what the heck? You've been working with RCIPS for 25, 30 years and whatever. But really it becomes a matter of principle. So they were saying that, listen, some people got a retirement age of 55. They changed it back in 2016, I think it was, where it was increased to 60. It's not fair that others were forced to mandatorily retire at 55 and then others got that additional 5 years essentially. Because what happens when they re-engage you is they re-engage you at a lower level. So they actually re-engage you at the rank of a constable, even if you were like deputy commissioner or whatever your position was. So they re-engage you at a lower level, which obviously means that essentially you're not going to be making the salary and whatever that you were making. So thank you very much, Miss Wanda. It was a very traumatic experience. My daughter did witness the incident as well. And for months, she did nothing but talk about what happened with Coco. It was really, really horrible. And the thing too is, the neighbor is a nice enough person. I have nothing against my neighbor. She's actually really nice, but she cannot control one of those dogs, much less two of those dogs. So if anything happens again, and there's no guarantee that a dog will never get out of a gated area, a confined area, she has no control once they're out. She cannot do anything. No one can do anything. We had neighbors, we had multiple people trying to get these dogs off of my dog, and there was absolutely nothing that could be done. So I'm really disappointed in the Department of Agriculture. Dorley says, my baby sister got a bite from a dog and the government put that dog down. That's normally what happens everywhere else in the world. But Cayman, it's all about who you are. Because I know for a fact if those were some little kids from Windsor Park who had dogs that killed my dog, they would have been put down. You know, that there's no two ways about it. The system isn't always equal and it's not always fair. And I recognize that. And so I am like 80% decided that I'm going to do something about this. But again, it's like the psychology of making the decision and understanding what I have to go through and all the things that I have to do, not least of all, taking on government, who, like I said, has a bottomless pit of money to fight these sorts of cases. But I think I'm going to do it because, again, the overarching question for me is, why did Coco lose her life? For nothing? No one's going to be prosecuted. No dog is going to be held accountable for this. Although I feel sorry for the dogs, you know, and if I was not a law-abiding citizen, you better believe I would kill those dogs. But I'm a law-abiding citizen. So my only option is to actually take this to court. Not that it hasn't crossed my mind. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm human just like everybody else. And the pain that this situation caused me was so significant that I can understand why people want to retaliate with certain situations. But then the logical side of me has to rule and take over and say, well, that's not the way that we do things. If we live in a society supposedly governed by laws, we have to, you know, ensure that we are also one of those people who are law abiding. Yeah, it's just crazy. But you know, the animal law is one of those pieces of legislation that is really, really lacking in more ways than one, unfortunately. Yes, Shan, unfortunately, she was killed by the neighbor's dogs in a very, very horrific incident on November the 31st of last year. So it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway, I don't want to focus on it because I'm going to get really upset. But I think I am going to challenge the government. So this particular case, coming back to the police officers, essentially the issues here that the Privy Council had to consider was, did the mandatory retirement age of the individual police officers on the ground of age fall within the ambit of Section 9? So this is Section 9 of the Constitution. So their first argument was a bit of a constitutional argument where they were saying that they were being discriminated against based on age because of the mandatory retirement age. And so it got really technical here, as you can appreciate, with constitutional issues. You know, they were doing a dual argument that it fell within Section 8 of the ECHR, which is the European Convention on Human Rights, which then extends to like our Section 9 equivalent, which is then like a Section 16 argument. So all that got a little bit convoluted, but they failed on the first issue. So all of the courts, for different reasons, actually. So the lower court, which was the Grand Court, said that they failed the test. The Court of Appeal said that they failed the test on point 1. But the Privy Council, but it was for different reasons. The Privy Council, I think, was more in line with the decision of the Grand Court and the reasoning of the Grand Court on this first point. However, the two lower courts had found against the appellants, which are the police association, as it relates to issues 2 and 3. And those were the issues where I think the Privy Council found a very different result. So the bottom line is they're now going to send this case, my apologies, back to the, they're going to send it back to the Grand Court for them to reconsider it. And that's, I think oftentimes that's what they do with their, you know, findings in mind. The court should now come to a very different conclusion, essentially. So, it's interesting as legal cases go. I'm going to read you what someone said in relation to this. And the bottom line was that basically the council, which is the Privy Council, dismissed the appeal in relation to issue 1, but allowed the appeal on issues 2 and 3. On submission 1, it agreed with the Court of Appeal that compulsory retirement was not akin to dismissal on the grounds of gender, because that was a legal argument that's being made. It noted that Article 8, which is by extension our Article 9, had not been engaged, and that Section 16 of the Constitution had no application. So they went on to say that the re-engagement policy was irrational, agreeing with the position of the Court of Appeal. So, favorable decision, more or less, for the officers. Now it goes back to the Grand Court for them to reconsider it. And the interesting thing that the Privy Council also said is that it was giving all parties, including the police and the others, the police officers suing, the ability to call additional evidence before the Grand Court. So sometimes you are sort of barred because you've already put forward your case and you can only on appeal rely on what you've already submitted. But in this case, the Privy Council, for a number of reasons, said that, listen, now that we have found a different decision, we think that all parties should be able to bring forward whatever evidence they have to prove their legal position that they've taken. So we'll keep an eye on it, I guess, when it goes back to the Grand Court, and we will certainly let you guys know. This is what one attorney said this morning in terms of why this is a significant case. Sometimes you look at these things and you're like, okay, this is very complex. Like, do I really care? And this is what they said. They said, my observation, again, this is an attorney with 30, 40 years worth of experience. My observation is that for the sake of clarity, oops, sorry, give me 1 second. 1 second here. Right. So, oh yes. So they said, I can't contribute more than that right now. Okay. All right. From what I've seen, I believe it's a very important decision, primarily because of the proliferation in recent years of unlawful policymaking, and put that in quotations, by public officials, government departments, and even statutory authorities who really don't have the legal authority to make or implement policy. The worst examples are where they invent a policy, typically for convenience to themselves, to circumvent the specific intent of the legislation which governs them. That is clearly a breach of Section 19 of the Constitution. And this person says that they've been complaining about that for years. So again, this whole area of law, which falls under public administration, public law, can be very, very complex. And when you take on a government agency, there's a lot involved in that. But sometimes it's necessary, because statutory authorities, government agencies, government bodies, they don't get to just do whatever they want. There are limitations within good governance of what they can and can't do. So thank you so much, Shan. I appreciate that. So yeah, we'll see. Keep an eye on it. Good morning, Ms. Bonnie. Good morning, Ms. Anne. Miranda says Caymanians retired at 60, but immigration is granting work permits for people over 60. What a mess. Lord help Caymanians. Not only that, but government is renewing, and this is where this whole concept of re-engagement comes in. And it's not just the RCIPS that does this, it's other agencies that will force you to retire and then they re-engage you, right? On the one hand, it makes logical reason, like it's logical why that might happen. One of the interesting things that the Court of Appeal, that the Privy Council said, is that this is what it said. The board, it calls itself the board. When I first started reading the summary, I'm like, who the heck is the board? And then I had to go back. Sometimes in law school, we'd read things in reverse. So, go to the bottom of the case, read the conclusion first, and then go and fill in the details. That can make a little situation flawed doing it that way, because you're like walking backwards sort of thing, right? So as I was reading, I'm like, who the heck is the board? They keep referring to the board. So they refer to themselves in third person as the board and not the council or anything else. I was like, who the heck is the board? Anyway, when I went back, it kind of then made sense what they were doing. But they said the board considers that the linkage of the policy to mandatory retirement and the ameliorative ameliorative purpose of the policy cannot change its irrationality. The constitutional requirement of rationality applies regardless as to whether the policy is linked to mandatory retirement and regardless as to any beneficial purpose. Whilst it is correct that the re-engagement policy was a response to ameliorate the position of officers forced to retire, and to that extent, they were in a better position than they would have been without any such policy, that does not mean that the policy was not irrational. So in other words, what it's trying to say, and the best of, again, I'm not a lawyer, so they'll be taking their legal advice from me, but, I do have a law degree, so, I may understand certain things a little bit better. It is basically saying that although the intent was to, yes, you have to force them to retire, but the re-engagement policy allowed them to come back into the force, right? So in a way, they're not like fully retiring. So the intent of that was to be able to re-engage officers at will. And that's a good intent, I suppose, at the end of the day, is what the court is saying. That does not mean that it can't be an irrational decision. So even if it has the best of intentions, it can still be found to be an irrational decision. And a policy that is designed with the best of intentions can nevertheless be irrational when it is a blanket policy applied irrespective of the circumstances of the individual or the needs of the police service. So this idea that they put you back down in rank to constable, regardless of your experience, anything related to the individual, they just put everybody in the same basket. And the police service might need a detective. They might need someone more senior, and they don't even take that into consideration when they re-engage you. They just automatically stick you back at the constable level. Maybe they have enough constables and they don't need any more constables. The point of this is those factors being applied sort of across the board makes this an irrational decision. And irrationality, illegality, these are some of the reasons why you can sue government. In the first instance, it's called a judicial review. So the more I think about it, the more I think that I need to file my papers this week as it relates to COCO, to be quite honest. So Jonathan says, 5 days quarantine, the government is gambling with our lives. I don't want to be no lab rat for them to find out if the vaccination really works. Well, Jonathan, the vaccination works. But the question I have for you is, what is your alternative? Do you believe that this country can remain closed forever? That's nonsense. It can't. It's just not possible. And so what do you want the government to do? The government doesn't have the money. And this is what, unfortunately, the last government wouldn't tell you, is the government does not have the money to keep the borders shut forever. Oh yeah, they were promising you during the election that they were going to increase the stipend to $2,000. They didn't even put it in the budget. So them, they were lying to y'all. Let's be quite frank. They had no intentions of doing it because they hadn't budgeted for it. They didn't say where it was going to come from. They were just throwing this idea out there. Morna says, my opinion is that it is fair for them to step aside at the age of 65. They need to train some new officers at the time the officer reached 65. Well, that's not the retirement age. It's 60. It was 55. Then it got changed to 60 in 2016. 65 as a police officer? Are you kidding me? Even 60, in my opinion, is like pushing it. And I honestly believe that it's 60 because certain people want to bring friends from overseas after they've already retired in the UK at probably 55. they're going to bring them here for those last 5 years, extra 5 years, I should say, of a more relaxed job, hanging out at the beach and drinking and partying all day and weekends and whatever. 65? Nobody should be staying in the police force that long. What are you going to be doing at 65? Go find another job, trimming some roses or something. Young people will never get a chance. I mean, even at 60. Because let's be honest, most people get into these government positions and they never want to leave. Sue says all-inclusive hotels in Jamaica are still open to tourists, though. Aren't they supposed to have some sort of what is it, like a quadrant where only certain hotels are open? Louise says that he waits for his notifications in the morning as well. Good morning, Evelyn. Says I'm gonna go matting the oh my gosh, Louis says he wants a signed mug. Well, funny enough, I'm actually having the next set of mugs designed. It's going to be a smaller order, and we're going to use a local vendor for those, although it turns out to be more expensive to do so. This will probably be the last batch that we will do at no cost. So I suggest you jump on it. And the design for this one includes a signature. So let me show you what we've done, because a lot of people are asking me to sign the mugs. And I thought, oh my gosh, really? Yes, child, everybody wants a signed mug. So I was like, okay. I thought maybe it's a little bit easier if I just have that already on there. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to show you the latest design, just a slight change. And so we're going to get these mugs ordered, and then I'll let you guys know when they're on island. But check this out. So now it includes a little Sandy Hill signature right there. Look at that. Pretty cute, if I may say so myself. All right. Somebody just messaged me. They're clearly listening. They're like, Sandra Hill, I want my mug, and you better sign it. Doggone it. So Jonathan says, no, we can't stay closed, but 5 days. Jonathan, it's going to go from 5 days to no days shortly. Shall get with it. No, sir. We got it. Sydney, no audio on Instagram. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure somebody else would have been complaining if that was the case. So maybe refresh. Yes, I'm pretty sure if nobody else had audio, they'd be like, what the heck is going on here? Ben, Rosita, good morning. Touch the volume button. There you go, princess. I hardly ever listen to Instagram. Like I hardly even watch Instagram Live. So I'm not gonna be able to give you the best advice from a consumer perspective. So from the other end, maybe. Like the back end, I can kind of see what's going on. Miss Ruby, thank you. Lulu, hello. Miss Morna says, sign mine too. Atlas says restrictions are lifted in UK. Well, yes, we talked about that last week. The question is for how long? That's the only question, honey child. Watch that space. The US has already closed their borders to UK citizens. So keep an eye on it. Let us know how long they're going to be lifting restrictions for, because everybody lifts restrictions and then they got to walk backwards and lock it again. It's just how it is. It's just the world of COVID, child. It's a hot mess. Lord have mercy. What a mess. I just saw a comment on Facebook that just has my head shaking. Wow. One thing about propaganda is people love to believe in the most ridiculous things. There's something about the human brain that, wants to believe the most ridiculous things. I don't know what it is about us. Some of y'all, not me, but we want to engage in the ridiculous, like a different level. Oh my God. People will say things that make no logical sense whatsoever. Because it appeals to our emotion, it gets us all worked up. We just want to believe it. We're like, yeah, that's right. Fight for my rights against the COVID vaccine, no matter what. And it's like, did you receive all the other vaccinations in your life? Well, yeah, but what? Those are mandatory. Yeah. What a hot mess. I can't even. Really and truly, I cannot. I consider the logic of it all, and I just have to shake my head sometimes. Happy birthday to Rocio from Capelli. Today's her birthday. Looking good, Mama, looking good. She's celebrating her birthday. Beautiful. Wishing you many, many more. The Philippines has won their first ever gold medal. Oh my gosh. This is an amazing story. Very good news. Congratulations to the Filipino community. You know what is so interesting? Before she even dropped it's like the heavy bar. Before she even dropped the bar, she started crying because she knew she'd won the gold medal. I was like, oh, that is so cute. All right, let's talk about school supplies. Yes, honey child, we're coming to that. Ooh. Speaking of the Olympics, a couple of things popping off for the Olympics. Second athlete sent home from Tokyo for refusing to face Israeli opponent. Okay. Why do you even bother to go to the Olympics if there's certain people that you do not want to face? Like, that to me is just stupid. Yeah. I don't know. Now, the most interesting thing that has happened this morning in the world of the Olympics competition is that former Olympian champion, hold on now. Let me make sure I get the right story. Simone Biles pulled out of the Olympic gymnastics team final. Did not provide a reason, but she earlier faltered badly on her vault. Wow. This girl is like amazing. So I don't know what's going on there. So Russia topped the United States for gold after her withdrawal. Damn. She made a mistake on the vault. Athletes, these things happen. What you gonna do? But I can only imagine what that must feel like, because first of all, the pressure is immense when you get to that stage. And, people expect miracles from you, to be quite frank and honest. So as a result of that, the US got the gold. Damn. I mean, Russia, my apologies, got the gold. And you must know they finished 3 points ahead of the US. Britain won the bronze medal. You know, in the US, their thing, their sport. I mean, they win, I guess, soccer and whatever else. I don't know. I think they always win basketball too, right? Like that's a sport that they dominate. But generally speaking, the gymnastics, they like take more medals probably than anything else, I would think, in gymnastics and maybe swimming. But yeah, gymnastics is their thing. And they've been very, very strong as of late. And it always seems to come down between them and Russia. It's like the Cold War of Olympics all over again. But they said that she pulled out due to medical issue. I find that a lot of times, unfortunately, these people, these young athletes are not used to losing. They're not as resilient when it comes to messing up. And so, you know, they mess up. There's a picture here of her messing up. Listen, that happens. Falling when they tumble and whatever. You know, it only takes one little mishap, child. I do not envy these kids at all. Being an Olympian, the pressure is just so immense. But yeah, it's a lot of pressure. And then Naomi Osaka was eliminated in the third round of the Olympic tennis tournament. So funny enough, she is Japanese American, I guess. So she was the one who they chose to light the cauldron at the opening ceremony. So she has been eliminated. She lost 6-4, 6-1 to Markita Vondrousova. Maybe not the correct pronunciation there, from the Czech Republic. In barely over an hour. You win some, you lose some. What can you do? School supplies in the Cayman Islands. Let's talk about it. Dr. Sydney said the good old reboot worked. Yes, restarting always seems to fix everything. Princess says when I came on, there was no sound, but I touched the volume button and it came up. All right. Hello, Miss Stacy. Beautiful Miss Stacy. Jonathan joining us. So there has been some discussion last night. Some people were sending me some stuff. Regarding the school supply situation. So I'm a little bit of two minds on this, to be quite frank. I don't know. You guys are going to tell me what you think. Good morning, Tommy. Joining us from the Bahamas. Purple Rain says Simone grimaced. Yes. As if she was in pain is what I heard. They think she may be injured. Didn't she win an Olympic? Didn't she win a previous Olympics? That's what I meant. She's won medals before, and at least the last Olympics, if not the one before that. Purple Rain says she's not a former Olympian. She is an Olympian. Semantics, my friend. But yes, she does have many medals. Is she the most? Does she have the most medals of a gymnast? I'm not sure. There's always somebody topping somebody else's records. You know what? Yesterday I was on YouTube and I was looking at a few videos, and no, actually I was on Facebook when I saw this video, and I came across the video of FloJo. Remember Florence Joyner Griffiths or whatever her name was? But we all knew her as FloJo back in the day. And she has a daughter who's now an adult, and she's actually like a singer, like she sings. And so she was on one of these shows, you know, I Want to Be a Star or whatever the heck they're called. And they're like, oh my gosh, your voice is so beautiful. But when she's performing, they're like, that Joyner last name, there's not too many people with that last name. Are you related to the one and only FloJo? And she's like, yeah, I'm her daughter. I think this was her only child, in fact. And I was trying to remember for the world of me, what happened to FloJo? How did she die? Now, time has a way of making us forget a lot of things. And I was like, what happened to FloJo? And I went back and I kind of Googled it. And I looked up because she was an amazing athlete. Oh my God. Like that was when I was growing up and I would sit and watch the Olympics and just like jaw dropping. Oh, the muscles on her legs and arms. And of course, she was known for not just her athletic talent, because she won all kind of medals, her and her husband, but she also had a flair. Like she brought to the Olympics her own touch of like the nails, like the super long nails. And remember, she used to wear the athletic running pants with what, like one leg only, and then the other leg was just like short kind of thing. She'd do like one long leg, one short leg. She was very, very, I thought she was beautiful. I used to remember thinking back in the day, like, oh my God, this woman is like amazing. She was, so for those of you who may not even remember her, she was an American track and field star and very, very talented. I forgot how many medals she won, but she definitely won a couple of gold. I think she was more in the like 200, 200, 400 meter. I kind of think that those were her specialties. But man, she was, I'm going to pull up a picture here so you guys can see this. She was amazing. I mean, all these athletes are obviously super fit and whatever, right? This new girl, Sha'Carri Richardson, they're comparing her to FloJo. They're saying she's the FloJo of her time because she has a very similar flair to her. The orange hair, although I don't think FloJo ever did anything crazy with her hair, but you know, the orange hair, the long nails, the interesting outfits. So that's what FloJo used to do, man. She was known for the one-legged thing, like one short leg, one long leg. And she was just amazing to me. I was just like a fan. Definitely back in the day, I'm just like, whoa, this woman has some serious talent. But she died quite prematurely. And I couldn't remember when I saw this thing with her daughter, I was like, what was it? I couldn't remember how she died or what happened to her even. She used to have some super long nails. Oh my God, these nails are ridiculous. I don't know why the nails were so long, because I'm like, who can run with such long nails? But she did it. Because I mean, she would even do her nails sometimes where they would like curl under. That's how long they were back in the day. And so she died at 38. She's born in 1959, and she passed away September the 21st of 1998. And believe it or not, she passed away from a seizure. So kind of crazy, because you think athletes are going to live forever. They're in top shape. They're this or that. But, you know, they often have health issues and stuff that maybe we don't know about. So she did retire, I think, a little bit early from running. And then apparently she died one night in her sleep from a seizure. Really, really sad. Her daughter was only 7 years old at the time. And so now her daughter is a singer, and she was talking about, you know, that journey and having to grow up without her mom and what that was like, because obviously at 7 you're going to have a lot of memories with your mom already. And so, you know, when she was preparing for this audition, she started crying and talking about her mom and stuff. But there's FloJo. Do you guys remember FloJo? She was amazing. Like, I was a fan. Like, to me, there's a golden era in Olympic history when everyone was kind of like glued to the TV and stuff like that. Track and field was it, because you know we love track and field in the Caribbean. Look at her. Isn't that amazing? Look at the muscles on her. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, she was a beautiful athlete, and by all accounts, a really nice person as well. You know, there she is, absolutely gorgeous. But anyway, she only had one child, and her daughter would be, I think, in her early 30s now. So good morning to Andre. Good morning, Lori. Lori said she needed one more gold to have the most golds in gymnastics. Ooh. Oh, wow. Now you know that's got to hurt. Ugh. Oh, my God. Like, I don't know what's worse, being this close to making such a record or being far away from it. I think it's being this close. Like, one more gold. Oh, you're like, oh, if I had only stuck that landing, had I only, in your mind, you will always kind of think that way. But yeah, wow. Irvlyn remembers Flojo. Good morning, Daisy. Said she was so colorful. Buenos dias, Elizabeth. All right, school supplies. Y'all up in arms about these school supplies. And I saw the list. Somebody sent me one list. And I thought to myself, whoa, 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 whoa. Prospect primary school list. So we got year one. And when I saw all this stuff, I'm like, this is a lot for a year one child to be trying to carry to school. Or as a parent, do I just hire a little moving crate and put everything in the moving crate and take it? Then it occurred to me, if I'm carrying all these supplies to school, where are they being stored? Because they're asking for multiples of like the same stuff. So let's go through the list for Prospect Primary first. So we have 2 face masks labeled. How are you going to label a face mask? All right, I guess you got to get one of those CMR ones that have hot mess on it, and then everybody knows that's for you. 5 hand sanitizers, 5 hand soap, small bottles, 5 baby wipes, box of 24 or 56. That's like a whole crate of stuff right there. Baby wipes, like a box of 24. Let me see here now. Funny enough, I always have baby wipes around because, child, once you've had a baby, you recognize the importance of these types of supplies. I never thought about how important these baby wipes were. Now, I don't know how good they are for the environment. And I got to admit, sometimes I'm like, is this great for the environment? But I use a lot of baby wipes now. She's no longer a baby. She's going to be 5 next month, but they come in handy in so many situations. So this is the pack of 56. I actually, ironically, had purchased this yesterday before I saw that list last night. So this is the pack of 56. And then the pack of 24, well, this is a pack of 32. So this one's a little bit, you can see the difference, a little bit smaller. Yeah, there we go. So I guess just one of these, but then it says, how many of these am I supposed to pack? So I'm supposed to pack 5 of these? No, sir. That's a lot of baby wipes. That poor child, I hope you know this is not going in a child's backpack. Like, you got to take a box full of all these supplies. Then they want 5 boxes of tissues, 5 paper towels. What are they doing with paper towels? Can somebody help me out with that one? Because I am a little bit confused. That one made me go, paper towels? Like, when they go to the bathroom as a year one student, does the school not supply paper towels? Do you have to wash your hands and then go to your little bin and take out your own paper towel? What's the paper towels for? So the school doesn't supply anything. The school doesn't have soap. It doesn't have hand sanitizers. Face mask, I can understand. It doesn't have tissue. Baby wipes, I mean, I don't know why you need all that if you got hand sanitizers, soap, and all this other stuff. Then you've got 48 pencils, number 2, sharpened. 48. Are you guys sure that's not a typo? I looked at the list and I thought, I don't even have 48 pens or pencils. And I like to have a lot of pens and pencils around the place. But 48? Does that not sound excessive to y'all? That sounds like a lot to me. 48 pencils. In a school year, you probably won't even get through 3 pencils. Okay. For me, it's more the quantity. It's not even the list necessarily, but it's like the quantity of what they're asking for seems a little bit ridiculous. 48 pencils. Number 2, sharpened. First of all, for year 1 child, I don't know if you want to be giving them sharpened pencils, child. Yeah, I might want to be careful with that one. 12 sketch pencils, medium graphic. Lord, these year 1 children look like they got a lot of work they're going to be working on. 5 erasers, 3 color wax crayons, 8-pack. And then they give you an example, Crayola. 1 bottle of glue. Thank God you only need 1 bottle of glue. 6 glue sticks, large. 2 whiteboard markers. 2 dry wipe erasers for cleaning the whiteboard. Okay, so now this has me confused because then they want you to bring a dry erase whiteboard. What are y'all doing with whiteboards? What are the kids? So every kid has a whiteboard. So do you not use pen and paper anymore? Are they just writing on the whiteboard instead of traditional pen and paper? I don't have a, this is a legit question because I don't have a child who's in the school system quite yet like that. She's not in year 1. So what are whiteboards used for? And you know all that. You got to be careful with whiteboards and stuff, especially with young children inhaling all those particles into their, y'all worried about COVID. You better be worried about some of this other stuff your children are inhaling inadvertently. 4 pocket folders, which are the thin folders, they say. A pair of scissors with a blunt tip. 2 True Ray construction paper. Neon colored. I'm surprised they didn't tell you what precise color, like neon blue, neon red, anything. And then 2 Ziploc gallon bags and quart-sized bags. A box of 20 to 40. So they want me to bring in 2 boxes of the Ziploc gallon bags? What the hell? You have to have their own labeled mask and carry 1 square in their school bags at all time. 1 spare. Oh, sorry. I can't quite make out the rest of it. No roller bags or mechanical pencils allowed. And then they say, I think it says our normal practice of pooling school supplies as such as pen or whatever is not advised as part of the social distancing practice. Okay, so they want to blame it on COVID to say that we can't share any of this stuff because of COVID. Then someone sent the one, so that was Prospect. Then someone sent the one for Red Bay. Not much better. Still a bunch of stuff needed. Red Bay also needs a school bag with a laptop compartment. So this is your 5 list. So I guess the kids are going to have a laptop compartment. And reusable water bottle. I'm glad that it's reusable. Lysol spray and liquid soap. So I must give a 5-year-old child Lysol spray. I mean, a year 5 child? No, honey child. I'm not so sure that that's a good idea. Lysol spray? What are they going to be doing with it? Spraying down and disinfecting their desk? Hand sanitizer. Then they got the folders. They have, let me see here. This list is a little bit smaller. Ziploc bags. They want quart size, gallon size, sheet protectors, construction paper, headphones, no AirPods. Tell y'all not to go too high tech. Headphones, construction paper, dry erase markers. You need several of those, 2 packs each of different sizes. You need a dictionary, rulers, your glue stick, pencils, geometry set and calculator, memory key and flash drive. They need one of those too? Wow. Green pens, blue pens. What do you need green pens for? Wax crayons, pencil crayons. Lord, wow. And then here's the year 1 for Red Bay. They don't seem to have an exact, like every school has a different list, I guess. Because this year one group has some other stuff. There's some variances. This year one group needs a school bag with a laptop compartment. Why didn't the prospect year one group need that? It's just a little bizarre. They need a primary journal book. They actually give you the ISBN number to make sure you get that one right, just in case. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Is this a big deal? Are parents overreacting? Some parents are saying that, listen, they can't afford it. One person said there's nothing new about school supply lists. That's a typical list for government schools. I just keep the excess supply and send only what my children need. In primary school, they usually just share the supplies. Unfortunately, there's some parents who don't or can't afford to buy supplies. I always try to buy extra to give to the school. First day of school, I took the supplies in a box. Paper towels are possibly for arts and crafts. School budget is short, not enough money allocated to education was the reason I was given when I asked. My boys are teens and lose pens and pencils like, wow. Little children worse. Whiteboards is for the teacher, not the students. So why would every student need one? If it's for the teacher, she only needs one for each classroom, right? So why must every student take a whiteboard? That's confusing. Another person says school supply list is not new in Cayman in the USA. Schools aren't funded enough to supply teachers with what's needed. Each year I drop off at least $500 to $1,000 in classroom supplies. And they also share with students who don't bring. Some parents send kids to school with anything. I think with nothing is what I was supposed to say. Someone else said most of those supplies are to supplement what the school hasn't bought or can't buy or can't afford. Somebody else says, I know the situation with the school supplies has been a debate. Can the government not get the private sector, especially the developers that are getting such huge concessions, to donate money or containers of supplies? Just a thought. Someone says whiteboard comment markers don't last very long. Listen, I don't know. I can't really tell you how this all works because, like I said, I'm not really quite there yet. But I did look at the amount of stuff that was on the list, and I thought that's a lot of stuff. Let's see what you guys are saying. Natasha says this is the regular for Prospect Primary. I called them out when my two were there, and they got offended as they expect parents who can to cover for the kids whose parents can't or don't contribute. So let me try to understand what's going on here. Those individual supplies that you send your children don't go in a box labeled Sandy Hill, student number 1. It goes in a pool of stuff for everybody to share. I mean, not for nothing. We're not trying to be stingy here, but someone else pointed out earlier that there are parents who complain that they can't buy school supplies, yet they're at the salon getting their nails done, hair done, nails done, everything done. So maybe they need to prioritize their children. I don't think everything in life is free. As a matter of fact, most things in life are not free. So on the one hand, I think to myself, tell me Mr. Philip Jackson is listening, Philip Wood, sorry, Sean, Curlin, Carrie Ann, Lola, all on Instagram. Do you guys think, right, that school supplies, you don't pay for government schools, so do you guys still pay exam fees? You might pay exam fees, I guess, and school supplies. Is that the end of the cost? And then uniforms, obviously. School uniform and shoes for your kids. Some of y'all don't even appreciate public education because you are getting it for free. And you expect them to do everything. Jonathan says, if that's the list of school supplies, they better have all those items 100% duty free with a discount. Sabrina says that's some ish. Kathy is asking, what do they want all those supplies for? Are they opening up a shop? It does seem like a lot. I don't know. Rochelle says, look here, you don't want to know the price of them uniforms. The high school uniforms are not, the high school uniform, them not even that expensive. They're not expensive? Sandra says it's for the entire year. So apparently 48 is not a lot. 48 pencils for the whole year? What do your children do with these pencils? Are they eating them? No, sir? I'm trying to remember back when I was a kid. That was such a long time ago. Let me think. I don't know. 48 seems like a lot to me. I didn't get 48 pens. Child, my aunt was like, get your little pack and you better hang on to it for the year. And you have your little, what's the little containers that you put it in? Your little pencil holders, whatever. You felt like a big girl when you graduated. It's like the zipper pouches. Louise says, let people know that the mug signing was not a previous discussion between you and I. Lucky desire for me. Sabrina says, for every child? Yeah. She says, what the? Yes. Hello, Miss Coracita. Even odd says quick response and more personal feedback for the whiteboard during group sessions. Quick response and more personal feedback for the whiteboard. How big are these whiteboards? Are they just like the little ones that are like this size? So Judy says they're used for answering questions in a group setting. Teacher asks a question, math, spelling, whatever, and all the kid writes their answers down and then show the erase. And then show and erase. It's fast and saves paper waste. Okay. So nobody raises their hand anymore? You don't get called on in school? Everybody writes it down and then does a teacher check every whiteboard? You see, I've been out of school for too long, y'all. And just now having a child that will be entering, she's in school, but she's in a private school and we don't have to supply any of those things yet. So I don't know at what point we'll get a list. Maybe it's when she goes into, because she's still in, she's going to be 5 next month. So I guess that's like kindergarten or whatever. So I guess it's when she starts year 1 that they're going to be sending me a big list of demands. Child, I'm going to start saving up my money from now, honey, child. Send Walmart my list. Seriously though, shop local. There's a lot of local vendors that offer these things at a relatively good price. A lot of times they're like on par with the US pricing, quite frankly. Marshall says, so if the children bring all those materials, what do the schools supply? Well, I think that's the point. The school doesn't supply anything. Jess says, all of this sounds excessive to me. I don't know how they plan to justify that kind of list. I guess they're not justifying it. They're just telling you to bring it. Joy clarifies that they're not using chalk anymore because of some kids having asthma, I guess. So they're using whiteboard markers, as I understand. Are these non-toxic whiteboard markers? Because, they could be just as bad as chalk. Sabrina made me laugh. Sabrina says, COVID get blamed for common sense. Oh my God. I need to keep that phrase, Sabrina. That's a good one. K-Man Corn Pop says, why do you need a laptop compartment when they said not to bring laptops to school to be used at home? I don't know. Are you going to be at some point transporting it elsewhere? I don't know if you guys noticed that I'm kind of moving a little bit weird because my shoulder's acting up again. I'm going to go for an MRI today, but this... oh God, it's like I know that I can almost pinpoint the exact tip of where this pain is, but it's impacting this entire side. So I'm going to go for an MRI today to see if it really just inflammation. Big shout out to Cindy, because Cindy cracked it for me a couple months ago. And that was the best I've felt in years with this shoulder. Like the pain went away for a couple months, but now it's back. So I might have to engage Cindy's services again, except I'm afraid that she's going to one day break something else unintentionally. But maybe I need a chiropractor. You guys know any good chiropractors? I'm thinking if Cindy's adjustment helped, is it really inflammation? Because can an adjustment help with inflammation where the pain like literally just goes away? I don't know, child. Anyway, we're going to try acupuncture first at physio and see how that goes. I only did one session last week. I missed the session on Friday, I think it was. But I'm going to go tomorrow. Natasha says, I will happily share the same list from 2009, so no changes, only the addition of the COVID-19 items. Okay. Dionysia says they want you to supply all of the items needed to facilitate the teacher to do their teaching as well. Government does not supply the school with supplies for teachers. They teach only textbooks. The teachers to teach only textbooks. I mean, I would remember that I have a family member who used to be a school teacher, and she was always, every year she'd go to Miami and she'd be stocking up on supplies. But I always thought, she was supplying her own classroom, that she was kind of doing it just because out of the kindness of her own heart or whatever. But it seems to me that she probably had no choice. And this was many years ago. If education isn't providing any of these items, then, I guess she was, because she would buy like all of her classroom stuff, like the what do you call them? The posters with the alphabet and whatever, because she taught a lot of the younger kids. Someone recommended Dr. Lippert for acupuncture. Child, if you knew what I knew, you would not make that recommendation. Ooh, girl, we will talk off air on that one. We will definitely talk off air. Yeah. You got to be very careful with acupuncture, especially when they do the dry needling. It can kill you. Believe me. Literally, it can kill you. I feel like I've had the best acupuncture. And unfortunately, he was in Miami, and then his business like closed down or something. So I don't know. Irvelyn says, why Lysol for kids? That thing is poisonous. That's what I was thinking too. Even Odd says at the beginning of the school year, some students arrive to school without supplies for various reasons. Parent complaints, their families who save and sacrifice to purchase things for their children. It's understandable that they feel some kind of way when supplies need replenishing, realizing that they purchased more than enough materials for their child. So is it correct that the supplies are shared? Oh, what a hot mess. Well, I guess children are learning from an early age to share with the less fortunate. I don't know how well that goes over, though, in terms of do children, I've always liked the concept of uniforms in school. Like, I've actually been a firm believer in that because I think it eliminates people wanting to like dress fancy, whatever. And I've never been to school where I had to wear your school uniform. Well, not after I left Cayman. So I went to Georgetown Primary. I left, I think, in the 3rd or 4th grade. I was just turning 9. So I guess I would have had school uniforms then, but like what the school years that I remember would have been, we had to wear clothing. So every year my aunt would go and we'd buy school clothes. And she was a big, Aunt Lottie was very, very traditional, even in her dress. So she was a big believer in your school loafers, your little penny loafers. So every year I would get 1 or 2 penny loafers and my little sneakers for PE class and activity time. And that was it. She was going to buy you get some jeans and a few tops and whatever. But her attire would be, if you had to describe it, you would call it like a little bit preppy, you know, but very conservative preppy. And she didn't mind. Aunt Lottie didn't mind spending money on you now. Let me tell you, she was not a stingy woman. Although I was not her child, she, you know, made sure that I had what I needed in that department. I think because in her mind, she probably always wanted a daughter. She only had one son. And so on the one hand, it was, I think I was a little bit of a doll to her. Like she enjoyed dressing me up to kind of like show me off to people. I know that sounds really weird, but sometimes I felt like I was on display, going to church and all these sorts of things. Anyway, good morning to Megan. Sabrina says, we'll feed our future no more, for supplies can't be renamed school or future. Sabrina, you are full of jokes this morning. Now, Sue makes a good point. She said, costs so much money. If you have 2 or 3 kids to buy for, plus the uniforms, the list goes up every year. Yeah, I must say, kids throw them away. Throw away what? They better be keeping these supplies. Jess says, why can't you buy supplies as needed? Why do you have to stock up for an entire year? Well, I don't know. But if you have 2, 3, 4, 5 children or more, woo, honey child, your school supply budget is a lot of money. Natasha says Kirk office does a back to school list for a fixed amount based on the school year, which does help, but these school teachers' wish lists are ridiculous, especially when you have more than one child attending. Can children share? Like if I'm within a household, they probably wouldn't be in the same year though, unless they're like twins, right? Yeah, Morna says, especially single moms that have 3 or 4 children to buy for each year, they haven't got to get those uniforms and shoes yet. Just saying, whew, it's a lot of money. Kathy says, in our day, we had 1 pencil and 2 sheets of paper. When that finished, you get 2 more. Child, trust me. Reminiscing. Whoever thought we'd be saying in our day, like we're that old. Sharon says, I will give my kids pen and paper in the morning, and when they return home, none comes back with them. Well, here you know. All I can tell you is that is a big list, I think. However, I guess if they claim that's what the children need. I do feel it for parents who have more than one child. And that's why I only have one, because I can't afford more than one, let's be honest. Can't break the bank. Linda says, sounds like they need a school shop where they can buy all these things in bulk with bulk discounts and sell at an affordable price to parents. But where is all the money going in the education system? I don't know. Oh, Sabrina, you not easy. Here's Sabrina. The chiropractor she's going to recommend is Dr. Khan, the one who was sexually assaulting women, taking nudie pictures of his patients and all kind of foolishness. He has left the jurisdiction, Sabrina. She laughing. He has left the jurisdiction, girl. So he's not even, I did go to him once. Thank God. I don't think I was his type. So he wasn't taking no pictures of me. But I did go to him once. And then he told me all this stuff. And I was talking to my girlfriend, Mel. I'll never forget. I'm like, oh yeah. I went to this chiropractor, Dr. Khan. He said this, and this. She's like, that's funny because he said the exact same thing to me. And I'm like, well, what kind of diagnosis is this? It sounds like he's just repeating the same thing to every patient. So Dacia says that supplies are shared. So if there's a student without, they won't be left out of the getting. Mm-hmm. Miss Sue, thank God for good insurance is all I can tell you. Louis says you need some cannabis root tea, low in THC and high in CBD. Reduce inflammation naturally, #plant medicine. Yeah, I think I need to get to the root of what's causing it. I feel like it's at night, like the way that I sleep. I do tend to sleep on the left side more. So I don't know. So yes, parents, go out there and buy some supplies, child. I don't know what to tell y'all. They're making sure you buy for the entire classroom, says Natasha. Ask the parents. They don't assume that all parents can afford to cover the costs of other parents. It's unfair. Yes. Someone is recommending Dr. Boulian, an excellent chiropractor at the HSA Specialist Clinic. Never heard of this person before. Buenos dias. Hello, Dam. Morna says, I have nothing about helping or giving, but if you can't, what then? Well, I wonder how many parents are actually sending their children with this completed list. How many are takers because they can't afford it? So is there a situation where 20% of the classroom is supplying everybody? I would be very interested to know. I don't know, child. Do private schools do the same thing? Or are private schools different? Y'all tell me now. All right, the CDC changing their mind about mask wearing again. Oh, Lord have mercy. Let me see here now. I'm just having a quick look at a few things. I'm going to be going out to court this morning. There are a few things that we are following for you in terms of cases. Yesterday was really, really interesting. Yesterday's situation. So let me just tell you. First of all, don't show up late to court. Because let me tell you, the judges do not like it. And sometimes they send you down in the dock, where basically they count it as a day of jail. And someone almost went down there yesterday for showing up late. And then they had to leave because they didn't have on proper attire. And the court is like, listen, you are supposed to know that you're coming to court on this day. Don't let it happen again. Apparently this person, according to the judge, is always late. And she said, this is going to be your final warning. Your next court case, if you come at 10:03, because court starts at 10 o'clock, you're going to be in trouble. So don't be late. It's a sentencing hearing, or we're going to throw you in lockup. I was like, ooh, honey child. Magistrate Hernandez was not in a good mood yesterday. We're going to be reporting on some of her cases a little bit later on, so keep an eye on CaymanMallRoad.com and all of her social media links. But she was telling some cold, hard truth up in court, honey child. My little fingers were typing like, I got to keep up. What'd she just say? Oh, my gosh. Yes. And, when I go to court now, people see me as a centerpiece of what's happening. And I'm just a spectator. Okay. This is like a spectator sport for me. I am simply there to take notations and to report as accurately as I can. So I'm trying to always listen to exactly what the judge said so I can quote her or him and that sort of thing. But then I noticed that some people, they see me coming and they're like, oh, Miss Sandy, I need to talk to you. Like they'll actually say it in court. And I'm looking at them like, this judge gonna haul you. They're not hauling me because I'm not even responding to you. Hello. I'm just like, what did you say? I don't pay any no mind. You can't be disruptive in court. Like one guy was getting a little bit rude with the magistrate, not the bailiff, but one of the police officers saw him on his phone. You can't be on your phone, right? So he went to tell him to come off his phone and he's like, I'm just turning it off. And he started to get rude. And the judge was like, hey, what's going on in my courthouse? And I was like, Lord have mercy. There's going to be another story about somebody getting put in jail and locked down because they're being rude in court. Man, Your Honor, I'm just turning my phone off and he talking to me. Who he think he is? And she was like, listen, you do not talk to the police officer in my courtroom like that. You apologize to him right now. And boy, I was like, Miss Hernandez, I'm scared of you, girl. So he had to apologize. He took a minute. He hesitated. And she said, apologize. And child, he was like, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I was like, what the hell? And it's kind of like a trickle down effect. You piss them off, the magistrates, with like one thing, lawyers being late, not showing up, whatever. They're gonna start taking that on everybody in court. And I'm just sitting there like, What a hot mess. You all know me. Miss Sue says, let's hope the government steps up soon and do a giveaway of school bags. Speaking of that, every year there are people who do that, Miss Sue. Rick Lindsay does it. Chris Saunders has done it for the past, I think, 4 or 5 years. So yeah, there are people, there are MPs and others who do it. But let me be clear now, y'all don't be going out there begging for no school supplies when you can afford to pay to go get nails done, hair done, and everything else done. Okay? So prioritize your bills. And you also have to let children know how to take care of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You don't just give them a bag of stuff and they're like, oh, well, you know, throw it down, don't take care of it. No, honey child. Money don't grow on trees. So, yep. That's all she wrote. Thank you, Jonathan. I find that more people are likely to gamble and have fun with their money than to put it into any charity. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of people out there doing charitable work. Let's be quite frank and honest about it. But you shouldn't be living your life relying on charities. Oh my God, that is so funny. But listen, I got a friend visiting from the BRAC. And he said, oh, I'm going to be at Dr. Lippett's for an appointment later on. Can you come and see me? She's telling me her schedule. I'm like, that is so funny. Like not even 5 minutes ago, his name came up as recommendations. Now, you know, that is beyond a coinkydink. Remember, I keep telling y'all about this little psychic thing that I have going on sometimes. You're seeing it more and more in this show, to be honest. What are the chances? I didn't even remember it was today that she's coming from the BRAC, but she came from the BRAC. She's like, I'm here. I'm going to go see Dr. Lippett. Da, 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 da. I'm like, we were just talking about him. How weird is that? Miss Sue says girls are usually good at taking care of their things. It's the boys that don't. Well, you got to teach your children, boy, girl, in between. I don't know what they are these days, but the lessons, the life lessons are always the same. Money don't grow on trees, kids. You lose it and I buy you another one. That'll teach them. You know, show up to school with no pen and then you're going to know. Hello, Marcia. How are you? Anyway, good folks, I'm out. I'm going to head to court and see what's going on. I got to start eating breakfast in the morning, especially the days that I have acupuncture, because you can't go into acupuncture on an empty stomach because some people will like pass out and stuff like that if they haven't eaten and you get acupuncture done. So the therapist has said to me, you got to eat the days that you come to see me and that you're going to do acupuncture. So I've got acupuncture tomorrow. So I think I need to plan for breakfast tomorrow because most mornings I do not eat breakfast. I got to be honest. Like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll be starving, child. Ugh. My stomach is like, oh, feed me. Why are you starving me to death? I had some coconut water this morning. That was what I was drinking. Delicious. God bless all of the beautiful coconut trees on this island. Thank you, Megan. You guys have a beautiful day. Ureli, Marcia, Miss Sue, Jonathan, Philip, sorry. Says people mostly late for any function except for courthouse. Yeah, well, they be showing up late there too, because she had to reprimand 2 of them. Miss Sue says prep and CIS don't take anything, but that's what they're paying so much money for. Well, Gabby says we pay for supplies, uniforms, school lunches, not mention school activities, dress down days, etc. This is the other thing I was thinking about when it comes to having children. Remember how yesterday we were saying that a lot of kids need like a budgeting class? You know what they also need? A class that is talking about what happens when you have a child. So if you want to be a teen mom and you get pregnant, let's do the math of what it's going to cost you in real terms. Case of diapers, a case of wipes. What else should be? Formula. Having a baby, want to buy them little toys and stuff. Clothes. Having a child in Cayman isn't cheap. So, start to talk about these things early on with them in case they're thinking that it's fun to have sex and they don't even know what they're doing. Educate them about the responsibilities that come with having children that are not planned. The school supply lists and the this and the that. And, despite the fact that some of us have gotten used to going around begging people for everything, that shouldn't be the norm. And you shouldn't be proud to be a charity case. We all might need help on occasion. But that is not how you should live your life. And if you plan it a little bit better, a lot of those things can be avoided. And I'm sorry, but when you start to have 3, 4, and 5 children, and you haven't considered the budgetary requirements for all those kids, then what can I say except you're going to have a problem. So Philip says, drink all the coconut water because you won't be able to drink in court. The only thing with coconut water, Philip, is you got to be careful because it makes you run to the bathroom a lot. So I'm drinking it now. I probably won't make it in court sitting there for 4 hours without a bathroom break. So you know how that goes, child. Beautiful people, it is 9:31 according to my clock. That means the show has officially ended. Go out and have a super beautiful, productive day. Big shout out to everyone who works hard for their coins, keeps it positive, and they're willing to share a little bit and help other people. I think that's important too. I wish you all a beautiful day. On Friday, we're going to pick the winner for our mug competition. So remember, you guys have been sending us all your mugs. Here's one from Louis. So he sent one with the cannabis leaf. He sent this one with the beautiful flower. So he sent us a couple different mug shots. So don't forget that you can get in on the fun. Send us your mug shots. I'm going to post up a few more this morning. Send us your mug shot of your choice. And then on Friday, we're going to select a winner. You get $100 cash. That can go good towards some school supplies that y'all need. And we have a phone up for grabs from our sponsor there over at Cellular World. So let's get it done. Win yourself a phone and $100 cold hard cash courtesy of Miracle Brokers. Miracle Brokers, your #1 shipping company. You guys know that already.
Miracle Brokers International is Cayman's premier source for all your packing, moving, and logistics needs. Whether it's moving a baby grand piano for a concert or moving halfway around the world, we have you covered with our team of local and international experts. MBI has over 30 years of industry experience and are able to get the job done for you right the first time. Contact us today for all your packing, moving, shipping, and logistics needs at 949-5989 or email info@miraclebrokers.com.
All right, folks, thank you so much to your corporate sponsors who make it all possible. Yes, absolutely. On that note, you guys have a wonderful, super productive day. Miss Morna says she can't even enter because her cup is broken. Child, I'm going to tell you like what I've been telling those kids. Don't break your stuff. I'll link you later, Miss Morna. I got one in the car for you. All right, folks. You guys have a beautiful day. Until next time, until tomorrow morning. I'll see you.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.